we now are running a third location. But this location is a little bit different. And yeah, pretty scary, something new, something different. And before I get into all the juicy details of how it came to be and why it came to be and what the plan of it is, I think it's just important for everyone here to have context. And so some of you guys have been here from day one, and day one was actually 89 weeks ago. And so 89 weeks ago, like we started this call. And so a lot has happened in the last 89 weeks, but the story actually, guys, it goes back a little bit even further than that 89 weeks. And so again, before I share with you guys all the details and all the fun stuff, I do also want to make sure you guys have context to which it makes sense of why we did this crazy thing, which most people aren't going to understand until you have context. 2 years ago, Katie, I don't know if you know this, but it's been like 2 years now. It was right before Thanksgiving. Katie and I, we stuffed everything into our black Chevy pickup, and we drove from Bozeman, Montana, down to Mesa, Arizona. And it was just us two and our two kids. And we were starting this new life, basically, right? Where we had no friends, no family, and absolutely zero logical reason to move down here. Except for the weather, is what we told ourselves anyway. But there really was one reason. And it was tough to tell out loud because only one person saw it, and it was me. And there was no evidence to believe that it was even possible. But I saw the path to building $7 million home cleaning businesses. And I remember the day before we left Montana, I paid $300 for a boardroom so I could pitch this vision to our two current office staff in Montana. So this was Alliah and Katie D. And as I shared this vision of building these $7 million businesses, I remember watching Alliah, and she was just like leaning in, probably how she's doing now, just like smiling. Like she was in, man. She was in. You could tell she was in. And then afterward, I asked Katie M, not to be confused with Katie D, but I was like, were you surprised by Katie D's reaction to that? And that's when I knew. That's when I knew that like she didn't catch it. But Alliah, she caught the vision. And I have this notebook next to me. So here's the notebook I have now. Obviously, this notebook changes as it gets written on. But I always keep a notebook next to me to just get rid of my ideas, these thoughts, tasks, things to do. And so let me share this with you guys because I think this is actually pretty cool. So on August 9th, 2023, Katie invited Alliah, who was a cleaner for us, and her boyfriend, BJ, over for dinner. And after meeting Alliah for the first time, like I could just tell she was a freaking superstar, just a freaking superstar, right? And I wrote it down right here, right here. And 5 months later, it was January 2023, and Alliah went from being a cleaner to the general manager of the Montana location. Right? And this was super important because Katie and I just moved to Arizona, and in March of 2024, just 3 months later, we opened up our second location in Arizona. And Katie started out cleaning, and I started out in the office, sales, hiring, client complaints. And our very first week, Katie, how many cleans did we do on week number 1?
One clean.
For how much money?
$400.
89 weeks later. Katie, what did that Arizona location do for cleans just last week?
Just shy of $22,000, $21,900.
80 cleans for $21,000. Crazy. Crazy. And, but it's really not crazy once you understand the formula. And the reality is that we found another superstar. And so we started the location in March. And for the first 6 months, Katie and I did everything. Katie started out cleaning. And then once Katie got out of the field, then she helped me in the office and we sold and hired. And then in August, so 6 months later, in August of 2024, we hired our first office staff. And I remember we presented this at the team meeting because at this point, this was the only way we knew how to hire is to just hire from within. So we told our entire team, we're going to hire one office person and we want to offer to you guys. And Kate and I had like two people who had been on the team for a long time who were like, okay, like, again, part of this notebook, I was like writing them down. I was like, okay, she's going to be the GM and she's going to be the AGM. And I would write all these different scenarios. And then when we pitched it at the team meeting, only one person rose their hand. And it was not the two people who had been on the team for a long time. And it was somebody who were like, I actually never thought that she would be a good office person or want to come to the office. But she was the only person to raise their hand. And so we said, okay. But so after I chatted with the two people who had been on the team for a while and understood why they didn't raise their hand, there was actually one other person who Katie and I really want to apply. And that person was Keziah. Now, Keziah had only been on the team for about 2 weeks, I think, at the time. But there was just like something about her. Again, like I saw something in Alliah and I just saw something in Keziah that I was just like, man, there's like something special about her. She just has like these little skills that are just like unique. I'm like, I don't know, there's just like, she just had something about her. And as much as I look for greatness in people, I also look for red flags. I look for like, what are some things that could be potential downfalls to this person? Like, what are some of their problems? And the only red flag I could think of with Keziah was that she was young. She was 19 years old. But you never would have known it based on how she acted. And so Katie gave her a little nudge and said, you should apply. And we ended up finding out that the only reason that she didn't apply is because she was new. And she was like, she didn't want to step on anybody's toes. She was like, she had the awareness to like not want to offend her peers. But once she applied, Katie and I made another crazy decision. We're like, okay, let's just hire two people then, because I really want this person. I really think this person is going to do well in this seat. And so when Keziah came to the office, the business was doing $37,000 a month. It's been 14 months since Keziah came to the office, and Keziah went from being an assistant to now she's the general manager of the location. Like, she's the one who runs it. And last month in October, that business just did $92,352 as a 20-year-old kid. This second location, it would not have been possible without both Keziah and Alliah, because they both just have this like, I got this energy, right? Speaking of Alliah, one of the only reasons that the Arizona location was able to grow is because Bozeman had somebody in Alliah who just said, like, I got this. And when we left in November of 2023, Alliah inherited a business that was already doing $1.1 million. But in 2024, Alliah grew that thing to 1.3. And this year, it's on track to do $1.5 million. It's the only reason this is possible.
Alliah put a comment in the chat earlier. She said that we told her that we would come back to Bozeman, but she has never seen us in Bozeman again. But that's why.
I said, if you need us, and you don't need us, so. So now we actually have $2 million businesses, and suddenly that crazy vision from 2 years ago in that boardroom didn't look so crazy anymore. And so when I told Alliah about location number 3, in her words, she was geeked. But this time was going to be a little different because we weren't going to start from zero this time. And so let me kind of give you guys some context on why we chose to buy versus build. Back in January 2023, before we had this conversation with Alliah, before she was the GM, before Bozeman was even $1 million business, Katie and I were doing free weekly Zoom calls, just sharing how we were going to potentially, probably, most likely, build our first cleaning business to $1 million.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And 4 months later, in April of 2023, people started to convince me that they should give me money and I would help them use this system to help them build their $1 million businesses as well. And so I came up with this idea, which was called Decade in a Day. And so a Decade in a Day was a 1 day, 2 night experience where cleaning business owners would fly out to Katie and I, and we would teach them how to implement this $1 million system. Okay. And over the course of the next year and a half, we did 25 of these. Okay. And so these Decade in a Days were important because this is where the $1 million system actually came into existence. This is where we learned, because it wasn't just about having one location, but we did for this 25 different locations. It's what gave us the context, which actually made the system better. And then in February of 2024, we actually created a mentorship. This is the home cleaning mentorship. And I did something that most people thought I was crazy for. I said, you could actually join our mentorship for free, but there was a condition. You had to use our system. And people thought I was crazy. And the other people who saw the opportunity were like, give me some of that, right? And we had a lot of people who joined the mentorship because it was free, but they had to use our system. I actually just released a video last week of Lindsay Watson, and she shared her story. She was one of these people who got into the system for free, into the mentorship for free. And inside that video, she actually talks about how she was talking with a couple other people inside the group, and she was like, you know what? I think we should just pay them. Like, they're giving us all this stuff away for free. Like, I think they deserve to get paid. And then when we told the group we were going to start charging people, she's like, yeah, you should charge people, and we should give you money too. It's just so funny. But anyway, James, I think the link is on that sheet somewhere. If you want to drop the link for that video, you actually can go hear Lindsay Watson's story. She's actually a member of the community who started in the group for free and was doing about $20,000. She got a business $20,000, started doing some one-on-one coaching with Katie, and went from $20,000 to $53,000 every month. Crazy stuff. But anyway, you guys can hear that story inside there. It's pretty good. But the reason that I would argue I wasn't crazy was just because like my priority wasn't money. My priority was the system. And I realized that I needed quantity before I could improve the quality. And so the best way to get the quantity up was to give the thing away for free. Okay. Now, once the system got better, then we improved the quality by actually charging people to join the mentorship. And so that's when the results really exploded. And so this year alone, in 2025, we have 7 businesses that when they joined the mentorship were not $1 million businesses and now are. Very hard to do, very hard to do. And so realizing that the system works, like it can take you from 0 to $1 million. But what I am understanding now is that there's the real differentiator is not the system, but is the operator. And not just the operator, but the skills of the operator. And so out of these 7 businesses that joined the mentorship who were not $1 million businesses and now are $1 million businesses, they all embodied these 4 skills. And so if you are not paying attention, I highly recommend paying attention. This right here is the framework that will help you understand what it takes to actually build a $1 million business. So these 4 skills. Number 1, the courage to commit. Katie, what are some examples of this skill set right here? The courage to commit.
Spending money on marketing.
Scary. Spending money on coaching. Scary. What else?
Quitting your job,
Mm.
going all in on this machine.
Yeah. How about this? Quitting your hobbies that don't make your business more money. Quit playing fantasy football. Quit watching sports. Quit doing things that are distracting you from actually growing your business.
Yeah. Anna Harris put it in the chat really good. Committing to something is just removing everything else.
Yeah.
All other options are removed, eliminated.
Number one skill, courage to commit. Number two, the humility to learn. What are some examples of this, Kitty?
Removing the words I know from your vocabulary.
Kitty, I know that. I know that already. I know.
Yeah.
Because when we say I know, it stops you listening. It stops you from being able to question what you know. And what usually stops us from learning is our ego. And we're trying to protect ourselves. And we don't want to look silly. We don't want to look stupid. And our ego stops us from actually getting better because that is actually what is required. Alex had a really good post. He said, "Success rejects all first-time applicants." So good, so good. And I'm very aware with my kids on this, and I'll be very aware with you guys as well. I'll try to make you guys aware of this as well. Is that if you expect to be good at something without ever doing it, it's silly. And I honestly believe it's what stops people from actually getting good is just the humility to understand that you're not going to be good at something you've never done before. If you've never built $1 million business, it means you don't know how to do it. So quit putting the front on that you know, because you don't. And as much as you think I'm speaking to you, I'm just speaking to myself, because I would be a lot richer if I just would have had this thought process 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I started my first business. If you can just be humble enough to look stupid for a long period of time, eventually other people will think you're smart. Number three, the conviction to sell. Give me some examples, Katie. Who do we got to sell first? When we first started our business, who do we got to sell?
Clients.
Clients. You guys got to be able to sell clients on giving you the opportunity to come into their home and to deliver a 5-star experience. You got to convince them that their money is better in your bank account than it is in their bank account. That's your first sell. And then Katie, who's your second sell?
Cleaners.
Cleaners. You just got to sell cleaners that you can actually provide for them. You can actually help them pay their bills. You can actually help them grow their skills. And then once you've sold clients and cleaners, what's the next big sell?
Office.
Office. You got to be able to sell the office on a vision that sometimes you can't even see. You got to sell them opportunity. You got to sell them on skills. You got to sell them on the impact that they're making. That all the client complaints they handle, all the cleaners calling out, all the issues that they're handling, it helps grow them. And as they grow, they become more valuable. And as they become more valuable, they make more money. And then the very last skill required to build $1 million business is the self-control to follow the plan. Okay? What are some examples of this one?
Not acting on your emotions when you don't feel like it. When you've heard 13 no's in a row from all of the clients who say, "What are you doing calling me? You're a scam. I'm going to hang up, click, click, click." Continuing to press dial, even when it doesn't feel good.
Hey guys, once you actually have a plan that works, then it's aligning your actions with your goals of building our business rather than your feelings of wanting to be comfortable. Your feelings of not wanting to be told no, your feelings of not getting rejected, your feelings of not knowing what the answer is. Right? those 4 skills, guys. The courage to commit, the humility to learn, the conviction to sell, and the self-control to follow the plan. You guys should all have those written down and just finding out where you're weak at, where your deficits are, and working on improving them. Okay. Now, the reason I tell you guys that, because it's actually going to bring us back to what we're all on here for, is to talk about location number 3. And so like the reason that we are not going to start this location from 0, and the reason that we bought an existing cleaning business, is because we wanted to not buy the business to kick the owner out of the business, but we wanted to keep them as the GM of the location. Same structure we have in Montana, the same structure we have in Arizona. And so in July of this year, I actually pitched this idea to a handful of clients inside our mentorship. And there's actually 10 people who applied. And there was only 2 people though that showed me that same enthusiasm, that same energy that I saw in Alliah that day in the boardroom. And unfortunately, most people were in Canada, so it just isn't doable. At least at this time, it's not doable. But the other people, it was Tyler and Kellen's hours. And so they were one of the 25 Deck and A people who came out. And yeah, their trip was unique. There was a couple cool things about their trip. So normally, guys, the framework of Deck and a Day is that people will fly in on Friday, do Deck and Day on Saturday, and they'll leave on Sunday. Tyler and Kellen had 3-year-old twins who they had never been away from before. And so they decided they wanted to leave on Saturday night to make sure that they only had to be away from their kids for one day. And so after we had dinner on Saturday night, I actually drove them to the airport, which I've never picked up or drove anybody else to the airport. And just to give you guys a little bit of context, like when Katie goes to the airport, she takes an Uber. And when she comes back, she gets an Uber. Like it's not something that I do. I don't do it. I don't make good use of my time. But for some reason I felt inclined to take them to the airport. And so like one of the memories I had was it's probably like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I actually have Lainey with me. So I have my youngest daughter, Lainey, with me. And we're in the truck and Kellen's in the back seat and just having a conversation with Lainey. And I don't know, it just was like, as a dad, just like really felt that. And I think from Kellen's point of view, I think that she saw a lot of her kids in Lainey as well. So like she had that connection as well. I don't know, something that just won't forget. And then another memory that I'll never forget, you guys might never forget this too, is that the first night on Friday night, I got us reservations to this nice sushi restaurant. It was like one of those that have like an hibachi grill, but like we didn't sit on the hibachi side, we sat on the quiet side. And I'm sitting on one side of the table and Tyler and Kellen are sitting on the other side of the table. It's just the 3 of us because Katie at this time, she was on one of her international trips that she was on. And so I watched Tyler take his chopsticks and he puts the sushi in his mouth, and then I'm telling a story, I'm talking, and then all of a sudden I see him put the chopsticks down, and then I see him reach back into his mouth with his hand, and he just pulls out the biggest hairball I've ever seen. And dude doesn't say a word, doesn't flinch, doesn't even interrupt my story. And I was like, noted, dude, noted. Just didn't make a big deal of it. Great story though. And then that was Friday night. That was the first night. And then the next night, on Saturday night, right before I took him to the airport, Tyler made an ask, which to most people would be a very conventional ask. He just asked for my phone number. And I had to explain him why the answer was no. And so I'll share with you guys a little bit of context that I also gave to Tyler as well. So when I was building my gym from 2013 to 2016, my business never did more than $5,000 a month. And that's because I had no skills, I had no direction, and I had a huge ego. And in 2017, I realized that I needed to make a commitment to either making the business grow, or I needed to make a commitment to like do something else, because this business was not going to grow without me doing something different. And so I started to seek out a coach, and I ended up finding a coach, which today, dude is famous. Back in 2017, no one knew who this dude was, including myself. And that guy was Alex Ramosi. And so I ended up giving him $10,000 for him to give me his system and for him to teach me how to use the freaking system. And also got very, very lucky. Just the timing of this was I was one of the very first few people who were part of this system. And he basically coached me. And he pushed me, and he pushed me far more than I ever would have done than I ever would have done on my own. And because of that, my business went from doing $5,000 a month for 3 straight years to doing $50,000 a month the very first month I worked with Alex. It was like my first really big transformation. I realized that I didn't want to go back. I was like, okay, I'm committed. I want to go forward. I'm focused. And so I got to get rid of all these things that could potentially stop me from growing my business. And you guys want to know who my biggest distraction was? You guys know? It was my mom. Yeah, no, it was my mom, right? She used to call me every day and text me almost every single day, just wanted to talk, small talk, gossip. I'm like, Mom, we got nothing to talk about, right? She's like, I'm working. She's like, Logan, you work too hard. Have some fun. You have plenty of time. You're young. It was probably 2 weeks into gym launch where my mom actually came down to Bozeman and we had lunch. And I told her the story that I just had given $10,000 to this guy and I was committed and it was actually working. And I was like, Mom, I need your support. And so here's what I need from you. I need you to either leave me alone, quit bothering me, or to encourage me, to support me, to tell me like, you're doing good, like work harder. And I obviously did not do a good job communicating exactly what I needed from her because she kept bugging me. And so I thought of a solution, and it was the only thing I could think of at the time. But I went down to AT&T and I changed my phone number. Sounds silly, but so I did. And for a year and a half, there was only 3 people who had my phone number. And obviously Katie was one of those 3 people. And my mom was not one of those 3 people. And if my mom wanted to talk to me, she had to talk to Katie first. And I think in hindsight, I think her and Katie's relationship got better because of that. But I was committed. I was committed to grow my business. Back to the courage to commit. I was committed. And still to this day, almost no one has my phone number because it works. When you don't get distracted with your phone, then it's pretty, just keep working. And so like every single person who's in the mentorship doesn't have my phone number, except for one person. And that's Mr. Tyler Stowers. Because even though I told him no that night, I ended up getting his phone number. And about 3 months later, I actually sent him a text. At first I said Logan, and then I said, I appreciate you, my dude. And I'll share this with you guys so you guys can see this. Yeah. And then again, because I told Tyler that story, the fact that I texted him, it meant something. And his first response was, my man, you text me direct is not lost upon me, right? And so there's some other things he talks about with cleaning, but it just is important that like if you tell somebody that something's important, then a lot of times then they will respect that it's important. And so Tyler's had my number since then, and he doesn't text me, like unless it's important, right? Which there's very few things that have been important in the last 2 years. But one of the things that I look back on when Tyler and Kellen did their Deck in a Day was that like when they did Deck in a Day, there was no community. There was no modules. There was no snapshot. There was no go high level at that time. There was no success stories. There was no Julia Callahan's or Kayla Irby's or Jessica Lucas's or Jacinta's, right? There was none of that. Like they just trusted before there was any evidence. And like today, like you guys don't have to. Like in fact, like James, we dropped the link to the client stories and the client wins. Like now, guys, there's so many testimonials. There's so many stories of people using the system. Like the decision now is just like, are you willing to work it rather than like, does the thing actually work? Okay. And so because when Tyler and Kellen came in, like there was none of that stuff. Like it was rocky again. Like they're the ones who kind of really helped me build the system. And so about a year after they did Decade a Day, so this was in September of 2024, Tyler sent me a message and he was very vulnerable and he just shared that the business was stuck at 20K. And you guys ever heard me talk about all the different levels of the cleaning business? Like 20K is right in the middle between the two hardest milestones, right? 0 to 20, very hard. 20 to 40K, also very hard. And they were right in the middle of the two. And also, if you guys ever been there, you realize that 20K means you're not making any freaking money. And that's kind of that was the situation that was happening, is that Tyler and Kellen had both committed to this business. They both went all in, and the business was losing money. It wasn't making money. And so Tyler had to make the decision to go back to work on the farm, and that left Kellen in the business essentially alone, just carrying the business. And we ended up hopping on a call on September 27th, 2024. So again, a little over a year ago. And I was just trying to figure out what their problem was. I came to the conclusion that there was like one big domino problem, that if we just like could solve this problem, then like maybe some of these other ones would start to get knocked down. And one of the big ones was a lack of commitment to each other. Now, Tyler and Kellen had been together for over a decade, 2 kids, not married. And when I asked them, like, why aren't you guys married? Their response, both of them, were, I'll just call it meh, right? Just, I wasn't sold. I wasn't sold. And so I'll share with you guys the story that I told Tyler and Kellen. And so one of the benefits that I had in 2017 and 2018 is that I got to do one-on-ones with Alex. And there was one-on-one that was very impactful on me. And Alex asked me the question. He said, are you going to marry Katie? And at the time, Katie and I were just dating. We've been together for 4 years. And I told Alex, I was like, I don't know, man, like business is going pretty good. Katie's got a good job. Like things are going good. Like, why would I ruin that? And I remember Alex just looking at me, through the Zoom screen. And he said, if you commit to her, you'll make more money. No explanation, no justification, no reason why. And I was like, okay. Dude's never led me wrong to begin with. And he obviously knows things I don't know. So I believed him. And so a week later, I asked Katie to marry me. And then a week after that, we got married in our living room. Just me, Katie, our little daughter, Kobe, the ordainer, and his wife as a witness. And if you guys think that didn't piss some people off, friends, family members, you'd be wrong. But again, the decision wasn't made for them. It was prioritizing us. And after I told that story, it must have worked, because the very next day, on September 28th, Tyler, with my phone number in hand, sends me a text message with this picture. And he proposed to Kellen on Logan Street, of all streets. Yeah. Can't even make this stuff up sometimes, guys, right? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. And then so we solved the problem of their commitment. And now it's like, okay, now like, how do we actually help them in their business? Which is called Sacramento 5-Star Cleaning, which again, like they're bought in, like they, so much so they started the business and they used, the 5-Star Cleaning name. And so a couple weeks later, on October 12th, I remember writing this down in my little fancy notebook, guys, right? Fancy notebook, ideas. If you guys can't read my handwriting, it's okay. I can't either. I would probably be a lot richer if I could read some of my good ideas, but it's just, I was born with bad handwriting. But on October 12th, 2024, I wrote down buy Sacramento 5-Star, right? This was the first time I ever had thought about that. And I remember talking to Katie about it, and we both agreed that we knew nothing about buying businesses, so that was probably a terrible idea. And so I just kept on thinking of like, how do I help? How do I help these guys, right? Like I just wanted to help, but I didn't see a path. I didn't see a path. And then in January of this year, in 2025, I got asked to speak at an event in Seattle. Tyler and Kellen, they had some family that lived in Seattle, and they were close enough in Sacramento that they could drive. So they ended up driving to Seattle, and we met up the night before. And I pitched them an idea. I was like, "All right, guys, what if we do a weekly call where I coach you guys, but we do it publicly, so that way the community, the mentorship, can actually watch me coach somebody on their journey from 20 to 40K." And I mean, there was no hesitation. They were in, right? They were in. And on February 7th, 2025, we did our very first live call. Some of you guys were probably on that call. And that call was, very, very acutely named 20K to 40K call. And every week for 15 straight weeks, I coached them publicly, documenting their journey. And in June of 2025, they hit 40K. And they didn't stop there, guys. In October, just last month, they set a new PR. They hit $50,000. And a couple weeks ago, like right after it happened, Tyler, Kellen, Katie, and I were on a Zoom call. And Tyler said something that is important. I think it's important for you guys to be able to hear this, because without having context, you guys wouldn't know this. But Tyler said, "Man," he's like, "we really pushed hard in order to get that 50K. He's like, "What if we push this hard every month?" And I just smiled. The Montana location, the Arizona location, the reason that they grow fast is because we push hard every month, every week, every day. It happens on purpose, guys, not an accident. And now, as of November 12th, 2025, which was last Wednesday, we officially bought a Sacramento 5-star clinic. The reason that we keep pushing hard is because Katie and I have big goals. And the reason why we have big goals is because big goals create big opportunities. And you guys know who's attracted to big opportunities? A players. The only reason that we're able to keep and attract people like Alliah and Keziah, and now Kellen, is because we have a big opportunity. We're not just growing $1 million business. We're growing a multi-million-dollar business spanning over states. And so one of the biggest reasons that we chose to buy Sacramento 5-star cleaning versus build another location is because of Kellen. Because I see the patterns of superstars in Alliah and Keziah every single day, and Kellen has it. And I believe that when she gets coaching from me twice a week, coaching from Katie once a week, support from Alliah, that connection with Keziah, and when you're just in a culture where it's just the normal to push every single day and it's exciting, I'm betting on Kellen. I'm betting on Kellen. And every time I've ever personally put pressure on Kellen, or I've seen the marketplace put pressure on Kellen, she's rose to the occasion every single time. And so now she gets more pressure. She gets her biggest opportunity yet, which is to do it in front of you guys, because that's what she signed up for, is you get public accountability. If you work for this company, you get public accountability. It's the reason why Keziah is on here today, Alliah's on here today, Kellen's on here today, is that we're transparent and we're going to tell everybody what we're doing, and we're either going to grow up or we're going to grow out. And I just believe that most people actually benefit in those situations, and they usually find a way to grow up. So I really think that the formula for consistent growth is just finding A players who want to build something that none of us could build alone. And so right now, we're going to get, the focus is to get to Sacramento to $83,000 a month. We're going to get Mesa to do a trailing 12 months $1 million. And we're going to get Bozeman to a trailing $2 million. Those are like the three big focuses for the rest of 2025 and early 2026. But then in 2026, no surprise, guys, but we're going to acquire another business. And it's going to be from inside our community, inside our mentorship. And so if you're not currently inside the mentorship, well, some degree, I think it's silly, but I'm probably also biased. But like right now, we're actually running a 20-day challenge, a 28-day challenge, which gives you an opportunity to basically test drive the system, the same system that has taken 7 businesses who are not $1 million businesses into $1 million businesses. And literally, it's probably taken 10 to 15 businesses from up to that $60,000 a month mark. And you get to test drive it for 28 days. No commitments after that. Like if you want to join the mentorship after that, cool, you can, but you don't absolutely have to. There's quite a few people in here who have actually done the challenge. You guys can put your what do you call it? Your experiences. You can share the good, the bad, the ugly of it. It's definitely not easy. If you guys want to know the truth, is that the system, it's a $1 million system, which means it's not going to be easy. Nothing that is easy can ever make you great. Full transparency, right? However, the system is good enough for you to be able to watch videos, get on one group coaching call a week, and then give you the opportunity to do learn those 4 skill sets we talked about earlier: the courage to commit, the humility to learn, the conviction to sell, and the self-control to follow the plan. Gives you an opportunity to be able to test yourself, because the system itself can get you to $1 million. Now, you're the variable. Which one of those 4 things do you need to work on? And that's what the mentorship is for, is to teach you how to become a better person. And so if you're not currently in the mentorship and you want the opportunity to test drive this $1 million system that is now taking 2 businesses that Katie and I have currently owned from 0 to $1 million, and 5 other businesses to over $1 million, James will drop the link for the 20-day challenge. We currently are full for this week. However, we have 3 people who their challenge is completing at the end of this week. So there'll be 3 spots opening up for next week. So you guys can click the link to apply. And after you apply, James will send you some text messages. James is actually on here today. He's the one that lets you get all you guys in. And he will schedule a call for you to talk with Katie. And if Katie thinks that you're a good fit for the challenge, you can make the system better, then she will schedule a call to talk with me, which means that like you guys don't get to give us money until the second call. So like to think that we're going to try to hard sell you, or if you think that we're going to try to hard sell you, I'm just going to tell you right now, like we don't hard sell you. And in fact, we probably tell more people no than we say yes, just because if we can't help you, then we're not going to take your money. But if you're a home cleaning business owner and you want to grow $1 million business, then like there's a pretty good chance we can help you, right? So if you are interested, you guys can apply. Now, for you guys who are currently inside the mentorship right now, I actually have a new release for you guys on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. And so if you guys look at your guys' calendar inside the mentorship, you guys will see there's a new module release at 4:30 Eastern time. And this was a release that was actually Lucas's idea. So Lucas came up with this idea, and it was to help. It was a problem that he saw within his clients. And Katie also rose her hand and was like, yeah, I see that problem too. And so I put together this module for you guys inside the mentorship, and it's going to help you get clarity. It's going to help you stay focused on what you need to do in order for you to actually build a $1 million business. And as you start to level up and you start to get higher and higher levels, like your attention, your focus becomes your greatest asset. And so while some of you guys might not understand why I had to essentially block my mom, but like I would do it again, because like that's how important the attention is. And it's the reason why I don't get my phone number out, is because like I can't have people distracting me throughout the day. Like I need to be able to be a producer. I need to be able to focus. And when I'm able to do that, that is when I'm at my best. And so that's what this module is going to help you guys do, is to help you become focused, be able to keep the noise level down, so then you can keep your creativity up. Okay. So make sure you guys who are inside the mentorship, make sure you guys get on that call tomorrow. It's at 4:30 Eastern time. And I'm also going to be sharing a sneak peek of another module release that we'll be releasing probably around Christmas time. I would say it'll be my Christmas present to you guys. And that one, yeah, I think a lot of you guys will also see the benefits from that. It's also going to solve a pretty big problem that you guys have as well. So, outside of that, Katie, you seen like any questions or anything that you want to talk about? Any question that you've seen?
No, I didn't see any questions. Saw lots of highlights. lots of love for Kellen and Tyler.
Yeah,
Lots of people applauding you for being soft and squishy and having feelings and being human.
not real.
Um,
It's all an act. It's all farce. They have feelings.
yeah.
Very, very
Something that
stoic.
I love learning. So I've obviously had the closest proximity to Logan out of anybody. And my job in the beginning, I was just learning. I was just like, I've never done any of this before. I've never been in charge before. I mean, to the degree of an owner, I had been a manager before. I had had to lead people. I had to hold people accountable. But something that Logan has always talked about is protecting his attention because that is really the only scarce resource that we have is our attention. And in the beginning, when we were smaller, when we didn't have as much going on, I just took all of the distractions from him. I took his mom. I took the Airbnbs. I took our real estate. I took the cleaning company. I took hiring. I took everything from him. And I quickly realized that my attention is also very important and it also needs to be taken into consideration in the equation. And if you guys look at things that take your attention throughout the day, it's mind blowing. Something as simple as meals. What do you eat every single day? Like, how many of you guys actually think about, oh, what am I going to have for lunch? Why is that not pre planned? Something that is like the biggest key to success in keeping your attention, keeping, Kellen said it great, keeping the noise down to keep your creativity or your ability to produce up is like executing on your schedule, like staying committed to the schedule, not to the emotions of the day. And I think that's something that has been my biggest takeaway over the course of the last decade plus with Logan has just been doing what's required to protect your attention. And it's not easy.
I think that's why the consistency in every part of life is so important. And it's funny because just this morning I had a one-on-one with Jessica and Lucas. They were the first clients I ever coached. Their business was doing $13,000 a month when they started. They had been in business for 10 years, and now their business does over $100,000 a month. And they now profit more than they used to make in revenue just 2 years ago. And so they're at a different level where they actually have a little bit more bandwidth because they're not in the doing. They actually have two office staff who run the business and they coach the business. And so Jessica asked me, like, so funny, and she just got on again. I'm sure she's been off and on, but she just asked me a question about food. And like, basically the answer I gave her is just the same thing you just said right there, Katie, is just like the consistency in something as simple as like, if you have to question what you're going to eat today, like you're not showing your preparation. And I just told Jessica this, that like Katie and I and the kids, we eat the same thing for dinner every single night. And then the haters, the people who don't understand, the people who care more about the variety of dinner more than they do about growing their businesses, the more about they do about having the attention to focus on things that matter rather than food, will never understand that it's just the consistencies, the decisions made. We don't have to think about it. We have to take things like we have to wonder, what should I take things out? Do I have it in the house? It's just like it's the same thing every single day. It's like one less decision you have to make, right? And by the way, Katie used to fight me on that too. So it wasn't like that was easy. It was an easy sell. But now that Katie is sold on it, then like it makes my life easier. And that's also one thing, guys, that it's important to also share with you guys is like the consistency of all these things. Like it's what allows us to actually have now 3 locations. But some of you guys also probably realize that we have a coaching business too that we do. And some of you guys know that we actually have real estate that we also own. We also have a life. We also have other things to do. And like the only reason we're able to do all those things is because we have consistency. We don't like there's lots of things that we have already made the decisions on. And so that way when they come up, like decisions been had because there's a lot of things that need our attention. They need immediate Katie as an example or immediate Logan. And when you try to compound all those things, if all those things need our attention all the time, it becomes overwhelming. So if you're like, how do I even run one business, let alone try to run multiple businesses? It's number one, you actually need A players. Like that's the first thing. It's like you don't do it without the Alliahs, Keziahs, and the Kellens. Like you just don't do it. Like it's not possible. It's impossible. But the only way that you'll get awesome people, superstars like that, to work for you is that if you first are somebody who they want to be like. So you in fact have to be a superstar first. Like you're not going to get somebody who has higher standards, that's going to work for you. Not for long anyway. You might trick somebody, but they won't work for you for long. And so if you want to attract A players, then like be an A player first. Be the person who would want to who would want to work, who you would want to work for. And sometimes it is even less about what you do in work, but what you do outside of work is why somebody would want to work for you. Like, do you take care of yourself? How do you treat your family? How do you treat your spouse? How do you treat your kids? Do you yell at your kids? Do you yell at your spouse? Do you talk shit about people behind their back? Like, those are actually some things that almost every single person here could do. Like, you guys could become a better person today by just realizing that instead of trying to tear people down because you're insecure about your own self, like, just make yourself better. Try that. Yeah. And just
That's so good.
Just as a full circle moment, let me just pull this back to my mom, because Tyler said something. My mom and I now have a great relationship. And my commitment to me growing my business gave my mom the courage to quit her job of 20 years, the dental hygienist. My stepdad to quit his job as a HVAC guy of like 30 plus years. They both quit their jobs to then start a porta potty business and Airbnb business. So they are now full-time entrepreneurs. And
the conversations look a heck of a lot different today.
And now my mom gets it. I try to call my mom now and she's like, I'm busy, Logan. I'm like, yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it? It comes full circle. And so don't be afraid. Like, if you believe in something, then stand up for yourself first, because I promise you, it's worth it in the back end. Like, it's worth it. If you guys believe in your business, if you believe you're helping people, then commit to it. You will never regret committing, even if that pisses some people off in the short term because they don't have the vision. They can't see what you see. It's not their job to see it. It's your job. It's your just job to have confidence and to believe that I understand you can't see it. It's not for you to hate them. It's just for you to be okay that they don't understand it, but you do. And keep going. Thank you guys for showing up here today. I have a lot of admiration for you guys. I really do. Like, a lot of empathy. Feel you guys. I think this is why this is easy for me to show up to these calls, and it's easy for me to be able to coach you guys. Like, I just look forward to it. It's because it's just like this is who I am. Like, this is like, I don't have to put a front on. Like, this is like what I believed in my soul, in my heart, and like I've just wanted this for so long. And so if it looks easy, it only is because of the hard work that happened, but also like I enjoy it. I really enjoy this process. And so I'm like super grateful for the opportunity to that Tyler and Kellen gave us to be able to help them, and super excited to possibly do it again, and then hopefully inspire the next person that wants to come on board, and we'll do it again and again and again until all of a sudden it seems like ridiculous that it was ever questioned that we couldn't get to these goals. And even if you guys never want to join the team, that's totally fine. But like, you guys can also like just grow your businesses. Like, right now we have a $3 million business. Like, do you think I could help you guys get from 0 to 20? Do you guys actually think that? Get you from 20 to 40,000 a month, from 40 to 60,000 a month, 60 to 80,000 a month. I just want to make it so it makes an easy decision for you to be like, I trust you. And then really the hard thing is going to be, are you willing to do the 4 things? Are you willing to have the courage to commit, the humility to learn, the conviction to sell, and the self-control to follow a plan? Because when you realize that it's on you whether your business grows, not on me, not on your marketplace, not on anybody other than like your skills, like that's when you get clarity on what it takes. That's actually when you guys start to grow really fast, is when you realize that you're the problem. You can solve you much easier than you can solve other people. Thank you guys, seriously, so much. Happy freaking Monday. Again, if you guys are inside the community, get on that call tomorrow for that new module release. If you guys are not in the community, you guys can test the community out for 28 days. James dropped the link down below. And for everybody else, we'll be on here again next week, week number 90. I don't know if we can top today, but we'll try. So appreciate you guys so much. Because I and Alliah, Kellen, Katie, Tyler, appreciate you guys so much, really. And for everybody else on here, all you guys inside the community, you guys can inspire others by first doing something cool. And so all you guys have your hero stories that you guys have up here, and it's doing the work, enough work that eventually everybody else can see it out here. But it all starts up here. Just want to let you guys know, is like all the imposter syndrome, all the like feelings of like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I have them. I have them too. I still have them. They never go away. I just have people around me that remind me that like I got to keep going. I got to keep pushing. So
You have better impulse control.
more self-control for sure. More self-control. And one last thing, those feelings you saw today, definitely an act, definitely not for real. So like, not those things were not real. So just want to bring the emotion for you guys. Okay. Okay. Good thing we're clear on that. Okay. Happy Monday, guys. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.